Hey cruisers, I'm Sherry with CruiseTipsTV.com. We are bringing you a consolidated news update today from across the cruise industry for about the last week or so. Wowza. Big news coming out of the CDC today. In fact, it's so big that I didn't have time to print it off. I'm literally reading from my phone that today, the CDC, which is also known as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, announced today, like I mentioned, that people who are fully vaccinated against COVID can travel within the U.S. with a low risk of exposure to COVID-19. The new guidance recommends that we continue to socially distance and wear our masks, but I think the question that's on all of our minds, right, is how will this impact the cruise industry, and how does this tie into what has been happening over the last week? In fact, it's so interesting that just yesterday we heard that the mayor of Miami-Dade County, Daniella Levine Cava, met with, by phone, the CDC Director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky. And what happened in that meeting seems to be bringing a lot of optimism to the cruise industry. And basically what the mayor learned out of that meeting is that regulations and guidance from the CDC are coming to the cruise industry, that something is about to become official. We just don't know yet what that is, but we do know that she was excited. The mayor was excited about the new guidelines, and that she felt that the CDC was going to be taking into consideration the advancements made possible by the vaccine, and that they're eager to start working with the cruise industry. So I think that some of us are skeptical about this, thinking, okay, well, they've been telling us that it's coming for a long time now, basically since October. Is it really going to happen? But there does seem to be a thread of optimism throughout the industry today. So let's hope for the best as we go into Easter weekend and see if maybe there's some big news coming next week from the CDC, at least a little ray of hope, some guidance for the cruise lines that's filtered through the Cruise Lines International Association so we can get back out there. So Carnival Cruise Line, in response to a number of different cruise lines, including Royal Caribbean and Celebrity, making decisions that they were going to start cruises in June, just sailing out of some different ports. They've created new home ports outside of the United States. Everyone was kind of thinking, well, is Carnival next? Is Carnival also going to make a big announcement about some kind of a home port? Where will it be? Will it be another island in the Caribbean? But it turns out that it doesn't really look like that is what is going to happen, because Christine Duffy, the president of Carnival Cruise Line, said in a video message to travel agents that their brand actually has no plans to move its ships from home ports. What she said, and I quote, was, "I have always said that Carnival Cruise Line is America's cruise line. We sail from 14 U.S. home ports, 50% of our itineraries are less than 7-day sailings, and a significant number of our guests drive to their Carnival cruise vacation." So basically what she was saying is, as it stands, we're not going to be making that decision to home port elsewhere. But she also did say that they haven't made a decision about June cancellations yet. She said, "We have not made a decision here at Carnival about our June sailings." She did note, however, that those who have cruises booked in June, they're going to be extending final payment date out to April 30th. You probably already have heard this news because it came out last week, but we did want to share that. You'll notice that MSC Cruise Line also hasn't announced any cruises out of home ports outside the U.S. We also haven't heard from Norwegian yet. Not sure what's happening with Norwegian. It will be very, very interesting to see how these next few weeks pan out. Maybe the cruise lines are really holding out for the fact that the CDC is going to somehow loosen that guidance, and we're going to see what happens. Speaking of Norwegian Cruise Line did announce very recently that they are going to require their crew to be vaccinated. They surveyed their crew and found out that many of their crew are doing their best to get vaccinated in their home countries, but it looks like they're also trying to work on getting some of those vaccines for their people as well, for their staff. And they have said that for their crew, Norwegian is going to accept the Pfizer, BioNTech, Comirnaty and Moderna and J&J and Janssen and AstraZeneca vaccines. So they're going to continue to update the types of vaccines that they will accept. So Lots of good stuff happening, you guys. And some of us have heard that some of the cruise lines are starting to recrew some of their ships too. We're going to wait to see more official information on that coming soon, but it sounds like it's happening. Royal Caribbean also welcomed their 25th ship this week. Odyssey of the Seas completed her final chapter in her construction odyssey today, which is very, very exciting. She is going to debut in Haifa, Israel, and then will be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida around November if all goes well. But Haifa, Israel this May 2021 and Fort Lauderdale in November if all goes well. The UK, folks, has a lot to be excited about right now. I'm sure you heard that there are so many cruise lines resuming in the United Kingdom for UK residents only this summer. Some will require vaccines, some won't. Some will cruise to nowhere, some will have ports. But to name a few of the ships and cruise lines that are resuming over in the UK, we have Celebrity Silhouette, MSC Virtuosa, Royal Caribbean's Anthem of the Seas, and even Disney Cruise Line announcing cruises in the UK. And there are more. Speaking of good news coming out of the UK, Royal Caribbean did something awesome, and they are thanking emergency services, NHS, and armed forces with their UK homecoming that's set for this summer, and they are going to be giving away 999 free sailings to be offered to these folks who are working in these emergency services, which I think is really, really cool. Royal Caribbean also announced that they're extending their already very successful season over in Singapore on Quantum of the Seas all the way through October 2021. I think it's really important to know that they have had more than 50,000 guests cruising with them, and they have had 0 positive COVID-19 cases to date. Very exciting stuff. The programs, the systems, and the protocols, they are working where the cruise lines are implementing them. And it's giving so much confidence to the industry. It's very, very exciting. Lindblad Expeditions, a small ship line here in the United States, is also resuming cruises in June. They're resuming their Alaska and Galapagos sailings. Now, they, I don't believe, mentioned anything about their cruisers requiring vaccinations, but they are going to be requiring 2 negative COVID tests, daily guest temperature checks, and a thorough sanitation process, of course. And again, those are Alaska and Galapagos sailings on Lindblad. Last but not least, today we heard that Windstar has, for the time being, announced, or until further notice, that they will be requiring a proof of a current COVID vaccination for all guests, and I'm sure their crew as well. So another cruise line requiring vaccinations. Tried to get through that pretty quickly because I know that there's a lot going on, but I really believe that we're going to see a lot of changes in the next week. This new information coming out of the CDC that vaccinated folks in the United States are pretty much free to travel, and that our restrictions are lessened greatly by having the vaccine, definitely has me wondering if this is going to bleed into the CDC's recommendations or even requirements for the cruise industry. But we just don't know. It's too soon to tell. But one thing is for sure, when we find out, we will come back and we will let you know. We'd love to hear from you in the comments of this video. If you're new, please consider subscribing. If you've been sticking around for a while, don't forget to give us a thumbs up before you go. Thank you all so very much. Have a wonderful and safe Easter weekend. And until next time, we'll see you on the high seas.